Has anybody got any questions they'd like to ask?
Yeah. The youth music website, is that a website about youth music, or is it for users? Does something happen on it? I have been on it actually, right?
Yeah. So the new one only launched 2 weeks ago,
Right.
and that's very much aimed at users and user-generated content. So the youth music, if you go to youthmusic.org.uk, that's very much kind of us giving out information about our funding or our kind of what's news for youth music, whereas actually the network site, so youthmusic.org.uk/network, is actually much more about everyone else putting their own information in, so that it's much more of a sort of social network rather than a kind of top-down information sharing platform for youth music. I mean, obviously we've had to put a lot of content on to get it started, but the idea is that we'll put some content on it now, and then we take a much more backseat and allow others to put their own practice, their own videos, their own tracks, their own ideas, their own blogs, and take it forward from there.
Another question, right? So how do you get the young people involved? Do you mainly go to schools? So I was involved a little bit as a journalist actually in Build a Band.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's a youth music project at Glastonbury. I always want, because that's one thing that I have trouble with, is actually engaging, getting young people on board, unless they're already part of a group or schools.
Well, I mean, it's potentially a problem actually, but the network is aimed at practitioners. So they're the ones who are working with the young people on a daily basis or weekly basis or whatever they might be doing. So the young person's voice is kind of very much mediated through them in terms of how they're interacting with the Youth Music Network website. And I think we've never been historically very good at engaging with young people directly. And again, I don't know if that comes from our position as a funder and a kind of umbrella body for some sort of, in some ways, for organisations, rather than a charity that does direct work with children and young people itself. Build a Band was one example where we did do that. And we've got another thing called Youth Music Voices at the moment, which is an Olympic project where we actually work directly with the children and young people and youth music employees that are taking them, but it's very, very rare that we do that. So I suppose the way that we're pitching this content is very much for educators to then continue and improve the work that they do with young people, and then bring that voice in as much as possible whenever we can, and that content whenever we can. But yeah, it's not aimed at them. And I don't know whether in the future we think about how we aim something at that audience, or just accept that that's not something we'll be able to do. Because even trying to engage 15-year-olds in something like that is just tricky.
What's your age group?
Well, we go right from 0 to 18, so everything in between.
But the Youth Music Voices choir has been working together for over a year, and they've got 100 young people from all across the country that meet quite regularly and are doing rehearsals and weekends and stuff, all preparing for the Olympics, and they sound amazing. They sound totally incredible.
I've got a good question about fragmenting of audiences, as Professor was speaking from the Department of Education. And part of my job as a head of digital is to actually close 450 old websites, because in the previous administration, essentially when there was lots of money floating around, one classic thing that teams would do would say, oh brilliant, we have this project, we need to do this curriculum thing, we'll just get a website going. But and of course you've got teachers who really, really want resources and really want easy access. But the problem was that we were left with like 450 sites, so nobody could find anything. We might be funding like £1 million projects here, there and everywhere, but it's actually really bad because it just fragmented people's audiences. Yeah. It meant that everyone's chasing these niche audiences. And so sometimes teachers are put into a position of having to choose. And so, although that's quite a difficult tension, we're in a much cleaner place now. We have one platform, we try and make sure that we just make sure that as much content as possible is pick-upable and lift-outable. So essentially we're just on a syndication model. So I think, although there is a general move, partly because of cost cutting, towards, putting things on one platform, one website, on education.gov.uk, and obviously there isn't the same level of funding around for the provision of new brilliant websites, which I think we'd love to be still in that place. We're basically going where people are and making sure that we can just syndicate as much of the content as possible, even within forums as well. So, we've got a massive partnership with TES Connect because they've got 3 million active users, and we just stick everything there now. We don't do anything on resources anymore because it's cheaper and it means people don't have to choose. Because I think the problem can be that I wonder whether you're actually chasing people who are already engaged. Obviously, you do a massive amount of work to make sure you engage new audiences, but it's one of those classic problems in policy of how do you actually talk to people who aren't interested. And if you're making them come to a website, like, that's quite hard, isn't it? We have the same problem in many friends.
Syndication is something that we're very interested in as well, and it's something we can do quite easily with Netsounds. Is if anybody's got feeds from their websites, RSS feeds, those sort of things, then we can pop them up in a box on our site, which will bring some traffic your way and potentially from other countries and from other potential partners for trans-European projects, which is what we're here to do. But I had a question for you actually, Kelly, which is because there was a funding. Somebody was trying to apply for a project to teach children how to speak other languages through singing, and we were potentially a partner on that. We didn't actually get passed by the European Commission, unfortunately, but it occurred to me, I just wondered whether you do any foreign language stuff. We do
loads of foreign language stuff, and actually we've got loads of case studies and stuff that has appeared in the magazines about singing to develop modern foreign languages, and we've got like if you were searching by MFL, or now I think it's called primary languages. Although teachers still think it's MFL, so you've got to use both. So yeah, we've got loads of stuff in French, loads of stuff in Spanish, stuff in German, Italian. Here's Cielito Lindo, which everybody loves. So yeah, we've got loads of this stuff happening. And we've got loads of case studies that show how successful it is. One of our, everybody knows this song, right? It's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, we've got actually one of our ex-area leaders, Shelley Ambery, who now is the Quality and Awards Manager for Sing Up. She ran an amazing project in the Northeast all around learning French and learning MFL through singing, and there's loads of stuff available on our website about that.
So if other Netsounds participants, educators in other countries wanted to have access to these resources, how does it work? Do they become members on your website, or what do they do?
The public domain material, I mean, when we launch our new membership scheme, things will be different. But for the moment, the public domain material is accessible to people outside the UK. The thing is that we've got loads of issues around copyright, and all the copyright music that we've got on our website, which is fantastic, like Walking on Sunshine and stuff like that, is only accessible for people within the UK. And actually, our government grant is really about schools within England and people within England. So that's what we've really tried to focus on. And that's where we've given all of our accesses. All of our access has mainly been for that, and anyone outside of England has only been able to access the public domain material. But the public domain material as well, people can search it. Actually, Cielito Lindo is public domain, but in here, people can just search by public domain, and they'll only see the public domain material. And the great thing is, too, is that we've really been... Oh, I left MFL up there too. That we've really wanted to make sure that we've got loads of public domain material and loads of copyright material, so that there's like a nice mix, and a nice mix of genres as well. So we've got 184 public domain songs.
That's great. Well, I mean, one of the sections on the Netsounds website is called Best Practices. It changed halfway through the project, but maybe what we could do is write something about your foreign language stuff and provide a link to the public domain resources that are available. I
can definitely give you a link to the magazine articles that we've written all about using singing as part of teaching primary languages. So we can definitely share some content with you about that. Because there's also tips and advice from teachers that have found it really successful on how others can do it as well.